Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. The Tuesday, January 17th, City Council meeting, City of Sugar Land is called to order. What's going to happen tonight is we're going to have an invocation by Councilmember Ferguson, and then we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance and the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Texas flag, and that's going to be led by three young men who are a part of our recognition this evening, and then we'll go into the recognition. Well, I'd like to call Micah Sprinkle, Nathan Robinson, and Nathan Rabb. Would you all three come forward and stand right here by the, right here in front of the podium, please? Because as soon as the invocation is over, we'll ask Councilmember Ferguson will give you the cue to go ahead and lead us in the pledges, okay? Good? Okay. Councilmember Ferguson.
Let's pray. Father God, we come together tonight as a team of people that care about each other. We ask that you give us a sense of wisdom and kindness and understanding for our neighbors. Father, we are so grateful that you have put this together. Watch over us as we make decisions for many, and keep us humble and keep us strong. In your Son's name we pray, amen. All right, gentlemen. We normally start with the U.S. flag. You guys want to start this?
That's fine. All right, we all know the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to have three recognitions now, and I'm going to come down in front, and we'll be recognizing all these young men and some of the older men in the audience as well. Okay, would Jordan Black, Joshua Geddes, and Rini Deanda please come forward? Okay, you're all from the Fort Bend Christian Academy, right? Congratulations. Hello, welcome, welcome. It's so good to have you here. What I'd like to do is I'd like to turn the microphone over to whomever would like to speak on behalf of the team, and we would love to have the team come up for a photo as well with City Council. So who's doing the talking?
I guess that's me.
Okay.
All right, so Fort Bend Christian Academy, my name is Jordan Black. I'm the head football coach, but that's enough about me already. I want to recognize these young men because these are the kids that actually took the field and actually played and accomplished something for the first time in the history of Fort Bend Christian Academy, and that's winning a state championship. So round of applause for them. Not to be too long-winded about this group of guys, our football team just 4 years ago, we were on the verge of total collapse, and these guys scratched and they clawed and they bought in and they worked hard and they figured it out, and just what they've accomplished is incredible, and I'm so very proud of them, and so proud of the support that we get from our administrators. Fort Bend Christian is a great school, and I'm proud to be the head football coach there. So,
Thank you. No? Okay. Okay. Yes, I would love the players to come up. Did I understand that the University of Illinois recruited one of your players?
A couple years ago.
Wow, that's my alma mater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we stink. But it's not because of your guy, I'm sure. Players, come on up. Come on up. Guys, you might want to push back a little bit. Yeah. Bill, in over here, please. Okay. I have a proclamation to read. Mayor Zimmerman is not able to make it this evening, so I'm going to be reading the proclamation in his stead, so don't laugh when it says, I, Joe Zimmerman, okay? Whereas Fort Bend Christian Academy is a private college prep K through 12 school that has been rooted in this community for over 35 years, and to honor the FBCA varsity football team who won the 2022 Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools 5A Division II Championship, and whereas 17 years ago FBCA began a football program. During the first 14 years, FBCA had limited postseason success, making an appearance in the playoffs and winning only one postseason game. During Coach Black's tenure, the Eagles have made the playoffs each of his 4 years as head coach. And whereas every year since then, the program has gone further and further into the playoffs, culminating in a state championship this year. And whereas the growth of the program has led to the enrollment of many great high school athletes, these student athletes have gone to play collegiately at Division I, II, and III colleges and universities. And whereas, due to the team's great accomplishment, many of the current team receive district and state recognition for their accomplishments on and off the field. Now, therefore, I, Joe R. Zimmerman, on behalf of the members of City Council, and by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Sugar Land, Texas, do hereby recognize and celebrate the Fort Bend Christian Academy varsity football team as TAPS 5A Division II state champions. Council, you want to come down? Come on down. Come on down. Let's get pictures with these guys.
Everybody looking this way. Make sure we can see me. You can't see the camera can't see you. Looks like we're looking good. Okay, we're gonna take a bunch. We got a big group here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay. Could I please ask Kevin Edelbrock, Tammy McElvoy, and yes, to please come forward. By the way, guys, you have to stay for the entire meeting, no matter what they told you. I think I saw the assistant police chief. Would you borrow the door, please? No, after the recognition, after all three teams are recognized, you're free to go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. Let me turn it over to you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. This is our head of school, Tammy McElvoy. And it was an incredible year for us. But really, it should come as no surprise that three teams that have a combined NFL experience of 11 years between Coach Black, myself, and Coach Pavlik would win the championship here. And for those of you that may not know, Coach Black has 11 of those 11 years. But we all root for each other, and it's really been fantastic. And so we're really proud of you. Also want to thank you, City Council, for making Sugar Land a great place to live. It's been home for 20 years and for making it a safe place. And so we know you have to make a lot of tough decisions. And so thank you, especially for those that are made to protect kids. So it's very, very important. I do want to cede the rest of my time to two of our players. I was told that a couple of them could just say what it meant to them. And so Lawson Taylor, our senior receiver, all-state receiver, as well as William Jungeblood, all-state center. And so Lawson, who had 10 catches and 155 yards in the championship game. Here you go. What did it mean to you?
I don't want to talk y'all's heads off, so I'll just say how I feel. Pressure, expectancy, disappointment. You know, these are some of the things going through your head the night of the game you could be worried about. Some say pressure is what makes you who you are. You know, do I dismiss it? Do I welcome it? Will I fold? I wish I could say I was a little bit more like Coach Edelbrock and say I wasn't really worried about winning from the beginning of the season, but that's all I could care about, to be honest. To be honest with you. What do you expect? We had lost so much in the past. So I thought winning was the true prize. I thought it would validate me. I thought it would satisfy my urge to win. And it wasn't until we had won it all at the state championship that I just was overcome with this feeling of unsatisfaction, I guess. And so I began to scan the field, and I fixated on this one player from Austin Hill Country. He was on the ground crying. And so I started to wonder, if he understood that winning wasn't the true prize, if he knew it wasn't as sweet as he thought, would he still be crying? So something urged me to go up and talk to this young man. His name was Chris. So me and Chris, we conversated for a little bit, 5 minutes or so, just talking about our season and things we enjoyed and things we hated, what it felt like to win versus lose. And I came to realize that the true prize was like the weight room with Nathan, or, goofing off in the back of the film room with Gaines. Coach Rav turn around and tell us to be quiet. Or, telling jokes in the locker room with Cole. We probably told some jokes we shouldn't have. But, those are the things I'll remember. Those are the memories I have emotion connected to. Not the game, But winning the championship does make it sweeter, but it's not the game that I remember. And to tell you the truth, I wanted to come up here and have a speech about how I just knew from the beginning that we were going to win it all, and new coach, and we got some more guys coming back. But, man, this is my truth. I want to thank the city of Sugar Land for having us as well, the whole coaching staff, all my teammates, team moms, whole school staff, my Logos Prep family, my personal family in the crowd right there, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor. And, 54-52, all glory to God, number 2 out.
Football. It is definitely by far America's favorite sport, with over 12 million Americans participating in it every single year. Many people enjoy it because of the game itself, but I guarantee you, if you ask any of these players in here, it isn't just the game itself that means a lot to them. It's the things that come by it. One of the things I love about football is the competitive spirit that it fosters. At the end of the day, football's a game. There's a winner and there's a loser. We all love to win and we all hate to lose. It's anyone's game. There's no given wins. And everyone is an equal when we step out onto the football field. I think in today's society, we all see each other through our differences. But I think football is a great place where we get to see each other for our similarities. It doesn't matter what you look like, who you are, where you live, or what you do. Everyone on the football field is worthy of respect and is an equal in between the lines. Most obvious reason that people love the game of football is because of the rewards that come from it. Every team in here can relate to winning the state championship. It feels good and stuff. But we know that all of the rewards come from the hard work that we put in throughout the entire season and times coming beforehand. And that brings me to my last and final reason why I love the game of football. And that's because how it grows us as young men and as followers of Jesus Christ. In the Bible, Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." Now, this verse is talking about physical needs, but I think we can apply it to everything, and how when we seek first God, everything else will come to it. And this was displayed by our team. At the beginning of the season, we went to Camp Lone Star. We talked about the playbook, but most importantly, we talked about our relationship with God. And we grew closer as brothers and we grew in our relationship with him. So I want to thank God for the season that he gave us. I want to thank my brothers that I fought alongside of, for the coaches that led us in this journey, for the school that supported us, and I thank him for the opportunity to play this game. Thank you so much for having us today. And to my brothers, I love you guys so much, and it's been an amazing ride that I'll never forget. All glory be to God.
You want to say anything else?
What's that?
If you want to say anything else?
No. I'll call the guys up.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Hey, guys, why don't you come join us?
You know, I think we're okay with in the hands of these young men if we could only get the millennials out of the way. Guys, fill in a little bit over there. There's room. There's room over there. Not everybody. Okay, a proclamation. Logos Preparatory Academy. Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools, six-man Division I state champs, January 17, 2023. Whereas, to honor the Logos Preparatory Academy football team in Sugar Land, Texas, for winning the six-man football Division I Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools championship, defeating Austin Hill Country 54-52 in dramatic fashion. And whereas, led by first-year coach Kevin Edelbrock, and capping off a 10-2 season led by 12 seniors and some talented juniors, Logos Preparatory, a 25-point underdog, defeated 11-1 and number one ranked Austin Hill Country Christian, trailing 52-34 with only 3 minutes left in the game. And after making some exciting plays, Logos Preparatory methodically made their way down the field, and with 8 seconds remaining, and took the lead 54-52. All-state receiver Lawson Taylor had 10 catches for 155 yards, and Dominic Rosa threw for 311 yards. And whereas standout performers on the season were All-State running back Barrett Zagarba, who scored 6 touchdowns in this championship and had more than nearly 2,000 all-purpose yards and a total of 36 touchdowns for the season. Cole Hogan added in 500 yards of receiving and 8 touchdowns on the year. Senior All-State linebacker Nathan Rabb and junior All-State defensive end Clayton Goldie led the team with 70 tackles each on the season. Senior All-State kicker Carson Goldie set the school record with a 44-yard field goal, only to later break his own record with a 45-yarder just 3 games later. And whereas Logo Preparatory Academy, a university model school, opened in 2005, launching its football program in 2010, the K-12 school has grown to over 500 students, including 233 high school students. The head of school is Tammy McElvoy. The athletic director is Bennett Murph. Now, therefore, I, Joe R. Zimmerman, on behalf of the members of City Council and by virtue of the authority invested in me as mayor of the city of Sugar Land, do hereby recognize and celebrate the Logos Preparatory Academy football team as TAPPS Division I six-man football champions. Yeah.
Camera can't see you. Looks like we're about several. View the back. Right there. All right, great. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Lead.
Now I'd like to call forward from the Fort Bend Chargers, Nate Sprinkle, President, and Barb Sprinkle, Larry Pavlik, Trevor Pendergast, Wayne Webb, Bobby and Amber Brown, Stephen Amber Guerra, Alicia Maines. Will you all please come up? Okay, go for it.
Hello, my name is Larry Pavlik. I represent Fort Bend Charger football team. I'm the head coach. Been there since 2011. It was a great year for us, just like for both these teams out here. You never know what you have until the season starts going, and then you start evaluating and say, hey, we've got a shot. We've got it. We've got the shot and stuff. And so it was just a great year. And, guys, there's not a whole lot I can say that hasn't already been said. But I will say this, that young men, I hope this is just a stepping stone for your life. Okay, as great as this state championship is, I really hope and pray that it's just a stepping stone. Guys, congratulations to all three teams. It's been a great year. Come on, team.
Okay, I'm going to read you your proclamation. Fort Bend Homeschool Chargers, Texas Association of Independent Athletic Organizations, Division III State Champions. Whereas the Fort Bend Homeschool Chargers compete in the Texas Association of Independent Athletic Organizations, which facilitates competition between private, charter, and homeschool organizations statewide. And whereas, in honor of the Chargers six-man high school football team who, on December 1st, 2022, completed their year-long quest for a state title as they overcame the highly favored Stephenville Faith Knights in the championship game of TAIAO Division III state playoffs in College Station. And whereas the Chargers pulled ahead at the beginning of the fourth quarter by a score of 66-36 and were able to hold on to the lead as Stephenville made a push and pulled to within 10 points before the Chargers scored again late to put the game away 74-56. The Chargers capped a strong 11-1 season with the final win as the Charger teammates celebrated at midfield with hugs, tears, high fives, and a traditional ice bath for head coach Larry Pavlik. And whereas the Fort Bend Charger Homeschool Football Organization has been in existence since 2011 when the dream of a handful of moms and dads became reality. In the team's 7 seasons, there have been 3 previous trips to the state championship game, but no state title until this year. The finish this year was largely due to a tight bond of friendships and commitment to one another and to the goal they had set for winning the state championship game. Charger coaches have years of coaching experience and bring to the field their heart for preparing young men for life beyond sports. Now, therefore, I, Joe R. Zimmerman, on behalf of members of the City Council and by virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, do hereby recognize and celebrate the Fort Bend Homeschool Chargers football team as TAIAO Division III state champions. You got cards? Council?
Everybody display, please. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, we are back. Rarely do we get a chance to have that much fun in a council meeting. Item number 2A, public comment. Mr. Secretary, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
No, sir, Mayor Pro Tem, no one signed up.
Is there anyone here who would like to address council? First opportunity, second opportunity. Okay, thank you. Item number 3, consent agenda. All consent agenda items listed are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there any items that anyone wishes to remove? Okay, motion to approve by McCutcheon, second by Kermali. If you will vote at this time. And we have unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Item number 4A, contracts and agreements. Consideration of and action on authorization of a contract by and between Aclara Technologies, LLC, and City of Sugar Land, Texas, in the amount of $9,214,347.98 for the Advanced Metering Infrastructure Project, CIP, CWA 2210, and an agreement for software deliverables and services in the amount of $155,565.28. The agreement for software deliverables and services will automatically renew for 9 additional one-year terms for a total contract amount of $1,555,652.80. And we have Tim John, Senior Engineering Manager, and Katie Clayton, Assistant Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Yes, this evening we are seeking a contract with Aclara for what we call AMI, Advanced Meter Infrastructure. Agenda tonight, we're going to give you a little bit of a background on AMI. I know you've heard this before. A little bit of a roadmap of how we got to here. We're going to talk about the contract scope and funding, path forward, including the customer portal, schedule, and the communications plan. So what is AMI? It's an advanced meter infrastructure that's an integrated system of customer water meters, communication networks, and data management systems that provide real-time water use information to the city and its residents. We currently read meters manually on a monthly basis. This is going to go down to a very high-tech up to hour read if we want. And these graphs here kind of show how the system is connected. And we have the antenna meter and what's called an MTU, a meter transmission unit that's connected to the house. That information then is transferred to what's called a data collection unit that are scattered throughout the city. That data then sends to our security network system, and that transfers over to our billing and data analytics, where we take the data and analyze it and determine whether there's leaks and anything unusual going on with the meter reads, et cetera, itself. And then we have the customer portal that will allow both the residents and the city to monitor flow in a much more in-depth detail than they can right now. Right now, it's usually by phone. They'll call the city and ask about their flow. There's no digital data involved at this point. So because this is a very complicated project and it impacts quite a few departments in the city, this is the project management team that we have selected. We have Rob Valenzuela as our executive sponsor. We also have an AMI steering committee that we're meeting on a monthly basis. That includes engineering, public works, treasury, and information technology. They're the ones that would have influence on our decisions that we would make monthly. On the team, we also have legal staff, purchasing and communications. In the middle here, we actually have 3 project managers. We have Brian Norton. He's a real property manager, but he's been helping us with the day-to-day management of the project. We have Katie Clayton from Public Works. That's a second project manager, and then myself, Tim John, on the engineering CIP side for project management. We also have a consultant, Black and Veatch. We hired them in August 2021, and they're on the team as well. They have participated in all of our guidance through our projects. Then we have input from Public Works, what's called the AMI manager. That person, if not, will be assigned as we move forward for this project. We will have a Treasury building lead that will work with the customers and make sure that the payment system that we have will work functionally. Then we have an IT technology lead, because this is a very IT-based program with all the mechanics involved in it. And the one item that's missing here is the AMI vendor lead, and that will be filled in assuming the contract gets awarded this evening. And as I said, this is for the residents and the city to monitor flow more accurately, and impacts all of these various departments. So we felt like having this team together was the best item. The roadmap that we have is we started out with the feasibility study that was completed in 2017 and updated in 2018 when we had annexation. The scope of that was really to determine whether we were going to use automatic meter infrastructure or automatic meter reading, which is where you drive by with the vehicle. And those were the business case comparisons. The recommendation that won out was to move forward with AMI. And it was also recommended that that would follow. We were also in the process of implementing ERP, and we did not want to overburden staff with having two different systems installed at the same time. So we waited for the ERP system to get installed, and it's currently functioning now, and we're ready to move forward. The second piece of the approach was for design and requirements phase, and that was completed in March of 2022. And that included through CIP CWA 2210, where we've coordinated with Black and Veatch, who we hired in August of 2021. They help us write a request for proposal so we can select a vendor that you'll be hearing about this evening. The procurement and the vendor selection phase on the staff side has been completed with recommendations. The next step is phase 4, the implementation and deployment phase, which is tonight's recommended approval. I'll now hand it off to Katie, and she'll talk about the contract itself. And at the end of that, Katie and I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Tim. Good evening. So I'm going to talk about the contract, about the scope of work, the procurement, and the funding, and then I'll be talking about the next steps moving forward, what can be expected. So with the contract scope, similar graphic, or the same graphic that Tim showed earlier, the city was looking for a turnkey AMI system with a 20-year lifespan for all of our city meters. So this includes the water meters, that meter transmission unit, the communication network that collects that data, the data management systems, and the integration with the city's billing system and our other processes. So like Tim said earlier, this is taking our system that currently gets a meter gets read once a month by a physical person out in the field, opening the meter lid, reading the numbers and transferring that information back to our treasury group. This is going to automate that process. It helps the city with the billing process, and it gives the customer an incredible amount of data. It gives them the ability to not just wait until the end of the month to see what their bill is going to be and realize that maybe they had a leak, but they're going to be able to see that data on a daily basis. So the customer access to the data and the ability for them to make informed decisions. As far as the procurement goes, we posted a request for proposals in January. That process took the city, with the help of Black and Veatch, many months to get there. We really looked at taking that scope of work and tailoring it to the city. We ended up with over 1,000 questions that we asked of these vendors to respond to us about how their system is going to be the right fit for Sugar Land, to tell us about where they've successfully implemented their AMI systems, how their AMI systems work, how they would integrate with our systems, And so that RFP was posted in January. Because it was such a lengthy document, we held a pre-proposal meeting shortly thereafter and then asked for proposals due at the end of February. We received 4 proposals from AMI vendors, and the team that Tim talked about earlier was then tasked with going through and reviewing the answers to all of those 1,000 questions. So again, a team representing IT, the Treasury group, engineering, public works, the purchasing group were tasked with evaluating those proposals, and we looked at it based off of the pricing, the technical evaluation, and then the commercial evaluation and financial stability of the company. So we ended up holding interviews with all 4 of those vendors. It took a full 2 days. We did 4-hour interviews with each of them. Again, the full team was there to talk with these vendors, hear their proposals, ask questions, see some of the software demos and in person, and really get a feel for what their product was. Through that process, the final recommendation from staff is Aclara. Aclara has been in the AMI industry for 25 years. 14 of which have been in Texas. They have implemented successfully AMI systems across the U.S. And definitely in cities similar to Sugar Land and our size, cities smaller as well as larger. So the recommendation was to proceed with contracting with Aclara. Some of the details about the contract. Like I said earlier, this will impact every single one of our meters. So the city has 41,000 meters. Every meter will be touched through this process. It will get this meter transmission unit. That transmission unit will live within the box that the meters currently live in. So our customers, there's nothing that's protruding from the box, no antennas or anything like that. It's all right there in the box, like you can see in the picture. Those MTUs have the capability of doing on-demand reads. So when our Treasury group is getting questions from residents about their bill, they'll be able to pull up that data. They'll be able to ping the meter and see what the current water use is. Those MTUs also store data, so if for whatever reason the system was to go down, that data is continuously being read, and once the system is back up and running, that data will all get pushed through. And it also has the capability of providing alarms, whether that's water flowing back through the meter the wrong direction, whether that is a continuous flow through the meter that might indicate that our resident has a leak. Those are all capable of being turned on as alarms on the endpoint or on the transmission unit. Through this project, we will be doing some meter replacement, but the bulk of our population will be retrofitted. So the city has a proactive meter replacement program where we replace meters every year with the intent of all of our meters being 10 years older or less. And so through this project, we will be replacing about 25% of the meter population, but the remainder will be retrofitted to be able to receive this MTU. Additionally, there's not just the meter aspect, but also those data collectors that are going to receive the data from the meter, and then network services and software. Now, everything that I've talked about prior to that statement was capital expenses. The network services and software will be an operations and maintenance expense. It will be an annual expense, and I'll point that out when we talk about the cost. That will also include the integration with our existing systems. And then lastly, the contract includes the installation of those meters that are being replaced, the meters that are being retrofitted, the data collection units. It'll also include project management and training so that city staff is able to troubleshoot this system moving forward. As far as the AMI program budget, like you saw earlier, this is a program that we've been preparing for many years. In FY21, the budget was 1.7 million that went towards the Black and Beach services. They've been helping us through this process and guiding us. And then in FY22 and FY23, we had about 11.6 million in the budget. So with a little bit left over from the Black and Beach, the FY21 funds in 22 and 23, we have a current funding available of just under 12.26 million. With this contract tonight, you can see this table breaks down the various pieces of the contract and the associated cost. The water meters and pit lids at 2.6 million, those meter transmission units and the field tools at 3.1, the installation process at 2.8, and the professional services and training at about $500,000. So the total capital cost is 9.2 million. And then, like I talked about earlier, the annual network services agreement is $155,000. So it's a kind of a two-part contract. For a total tonight, we're asking for 9.3 million. And I did want to recognize that this project was presented to the Finance and Audit Committee back in December. So let's talk the path forward. The customer portal. So again, one of the big benefits to this program is the customer benefits. This water meter data will be used for the city to bill, but it also will be accessible for the residents. They'll be able to log into a customer portal. They'll be able to pay their bill there, but they'll also be able to see that hourly and daily water use data, as well as their historic use, so they can see when things are changing. Which is a great tool for those customers who want to look at it on a daily basis. They can see and track their water usage and make informed decisions about their water use. It's also a way for the city to engage with our customers in a way that we haven't been able to previously. The customers will be able to recognize if there are irrigation or irregular use patterns. For example, if they didn't realize that their irrigation system goes off at 3 a.m. every single day, whether or not it is hot, cold, or raining or sunny, it goes off. And maybe that's something they didn't realize it happens because they're not up at 3 a.m. to see it. So they'll be able to see that. It'll also be able to tell them that maybe water is running continuously all night long and they're not running the laundry, they're not doing anything. They potentially have a leak. And so to be able to engage with them and tell them, we see this irregular use, we see this leak, this potential leak for them to react to. There are opportunities for water use comparison. So maybe they want to see what a similar size household or a similar size home with a pool, what they use versus what the customer uses. So there are a lot of opportunities for conservation through this program. And then emergency notifications. So currently, if we have a water line break and our crews are out there working to get it repaired, they may go door to door now to tell people that, hey, your water is going to be out because we're making this emergency repair. This has the opportunity to notify those customers in that immediate area that we're doing a repair. Excuse me. But I did want to recognize this is going to be a separate contract that will be forthcoming. This is not part of the Aclara contract tonight. As far as the implementation schedule, this is with the approval tonight, we'll move on to the kickoff and phase 1 testing in February with the goal to understand where we'll be putting these data collectors, the network, setting all of that up. And then phase 2 and 3 being that testing and integration phase where we're slowly starting to put some of these meters out and make sure that the system is working. With ensuring that the system is working, the hope is that we could begin mass deployment as early as late summer 2023. And then it will be a 2-year implementation with the installation and final and turnover by January of 2026. The last thing I wanted to touch on is the communication plan. So I talked about how this impacts every single one of our residents, every single person who pays a water bill to Sugar Land, this project will touch. As far as the timeline with the approval tonight, we will begin that initial outreach, telling people that we approve this contract, that we're moving forward, and then targeting that communication as the implementation progresses. So when we're going out and installing meters or installing these MTUs, our residents will see people in the field. If their water meter is being replaced, they may be out of water for 15 to 30 minutes, so it's a very minimal impact, but they will see trucks out in the field, so we want to make sure that they know what's going on. Outside of that, I would guess that a lot of people won't even know we've been there. There won't be anything to see from the meter lid box. It's all underground. Like I said, if they're getting their meter replaced, it'll be a short disruption to change that meter. Otherwise, nothing will, they won't have any impacts. We plan on mirroring the stormwater and solid waste communication plan. We'll have a project website. We'll be at city events like the quarterly HOA and Earth Day, and talking to the HOAs and making sure that they know that Aclara will be in the field installing this. Targeted messaging. We will be implementing this on the billing cycles, so the read cycles. So there'll be kind of specific neighborhoods that we'll be walking through. We'll make sure that we're touching base with those HOAs and those neighbors prior to that. We'll also be using direct mailers, billing notices, and then making sure that staff is ready and available to talk to our residents when they have questions. With that, I did want to recognize that we have representatives both from Black and Veatch. We have Tom Boer here with Black and Veatch, and then Fred Quintero with Aclara. So the request for approval is to authorize the execution of a professional services contract with Aclara Technologies, LLC, for advanced metering infrastructure, CIP CWA 2210, in the amount of $9,214,347.98, and an agreement for software deliverables and services in the amount of $155,565.28. And that agreement for software deliverables and services will automatically renew for 9 additional 1-year terms for a total contract amount of $1,555,652.80. Would happily take any questions.
Questions? Anyone? William?
I have a few. They're all good, I promise. I love the idea of the technology. First question is, how does this affect our upcoming water bills? And I'm not talking about the cost of water one day. I'm talking about, this networking or network services 155. All of these expenses, is this going to be some drastic change in our water bills?
No, this has been included in the rate model and the budgeting for several years now.
Thank you. They're real simple, I promise. The portal, the smartphone portal, love that idea. I believe it's going to help a lot of people understand their usage better. If that is not included in this, am I understanding? Mm-hmm. Because I got to tell you, I can't imagine going through this without that. So, to me, it felt like it was one and the same. But when will that come back to us?
The plan is to bring that back in late February or early March.
Okay. And then the last was, again, I know Rob's in the back of the room, and I'm no plumber, but do we foresee issues related to the install? I would assume Rob's thinking it's going to be 100% perfect install replacement, or are we going to be dealing with leaks for the next 2 years in people's yards? I'm being very silly but candid.
Yeah, So we currently replace 10% of our water meters annually. So we have a current program where we go and we replace meters. We have a third-party contractor. This is no different, where it'll be a third-party contractor who will come in and replace those meters. The meter transmission units, the technology piece, doesn't turn the water off. It's just putting that technology and attaching it to the meter. So I don't foresee that we would have an abnormal amount of leaks. Certainly we have one-offs where when they do the meter replacement, and we make sure that the contractor goes back and resolves those. But
She made me think of one more thought, if I may, Stuart. The box that the meter's in now, some of those are pretty messy because Rob's not gone around and cleaned them all out with the shovel. But do they replace the box as well, or just the meter?
they will just be replacing the meter unless the box is broken. So
Okay.
if, similar to our existing contract, if the contractor gets to the site and the box is all wonky because the tree roots have completely uprooted it, then there is some money in the contract to replace that box and to put it where it should be in the ground. But
Thank you for that. So Winter Storm Uri caused a lot of problems with leaks. Will this new technology allow us, with the homeowner as a participant, allow us to remotely turn off the water should we have leaks like we did during Uri?
the Aclara technology has the capability of doing remote shutoffs, but that requires an additional valve that the city is not planning on installing with this. They'd have to replace the meter and the valve, and it'd be a much larger project. So we're set up so that we'll have the capability, but it's not part of this phase to be installing remote shutoff valves at all of the residences.
This is great. Thank you for all these answers.
Carol?
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, was Aclara the clear-cut choice, or between the four vendors, was it more subtle differences?
I would say that there were a top two, but Aclara was the top choice because of their history and their experience in implementing their success. So the scores were clearly showing Aclara as the top candidate.
Okay, good. And also, with regard to accessing the portal in the future, will that also be able to be accessed by PC and not just a phone?
Yes.
Okay. And is there ever the chance to have any errors in water meter reading with this new type of system, or is it pretty much error-proof?
I don't know if any system is error-proof, but there's certainly, as they read today, they go out and they read the numbers on a dial.
Right, and you
It
could accidentally
removes
read,
that
misread it,
human
right.
aspect of misreading a number and then having to send someone to go reread. It removes that potential.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Rashad?
I've got a few as well. Tim, I believe, and I could have heard you wrong, have we checked that this works with our ERP system, or are we going to check that it works with our ERP system?
We've been
billing.
told by the vendor that it's compatible with the ERP system.
Yeah.
Good.
Aclara has worked with Tyler. They were
Before.
very familiar with
Yes.
the Tyler system.
That was one of our questions, of our 1,000 questions.
Very good. Do we have an idea of how much the portal will cost, and is it budgeted?
Yes, the portal is budgeted. The portal, similar to this Aclara contract, will have an upfront cost, or like a year one cost, and then an ongoing maintenance cost. I believe year one was about $150,000, but the ongoing cost will be about $80,000, and it is in the budget.
So most of that is just software-related costs, right? Okay. I had a question for Aclara. Do you all do the City of Midlothian? Does that ring a bell? I'm sorry. I have a follow-up to this.
Good evening. My name is Fred Quintero. I'm with Aclara Technologies. Thank you for having me here. Midlothian, I would have to say I don't know. I'll be honest with you on that.
And the reason I ask is I woke up Sunday morning with an email from the City of Midlothian that my water is flowing. I own some property there.
Yeah.
Obviously, yesterday with MLK Day being closed, couldn't get a plumber out there. We got a plumber out there. And the reason I'm asking is we got a plumber to go there and there's no leak. And so it was saying that you're flowing, just the way you set it up, the way the port, and it looks like your portal because it's green, blue and yellow as well, the colors. I'm wondering for our citizens, are they going to get false alerts like this, or are there ways to set up usage barriers that show that, you know, I do water my lawn 3 times a week and I don't need to, because plumbers cost money and trip charges. So I'm asking for, based on that.
So that was when we were doing, speaking with other cities who have implemented AMI and their experience and trying to make sure that we learn from things that they have found helpful and challenges that they've had. I did hear some of that, and it was very important. I've been told very important to set up various thresholds. I believe that's all adjustable within the program. That we can set up thresholds. We can wait so many days. We can do that to make sure that we're not.
Yeah, I just don't want citizens to bear a $85 trip charge
Right.
when they didn't have a problem there. That's the reason I set up that question the way, and it just happened to me this weekend. You also mentioned that I believe the lifeline of the product is 20 years. I thought I saw that. What happens? What do we do in 16, 18, 20, 22 years? How do we start solving for that problem today?
Yeah, so in those timeframes, then we start evaluating. Maybe we're not in the short term. If we have an issue, maybe we'll just replace the meter and not the meter transmission unit. As we get closer to that, we maybe just be replacing the entire meter and transmission unit to ensure that we're staying on that 10-year cycle and the system is working.
And we would be constantly monitoring changing technology as well. Who would have known 10, 15 years ago that this technology was available?
No, a good point. And for our citizens to have access to this is very important. One follow-up, and last one, I promise, for the evening, is if we did nothing and said, we're not going to do this and we're not going to spend $9 million, what's the downfall?
I think the downfall is that we continue being stagnant and doing things the archaic way of going and opening a meter box every single month and reading a meter, and not knowing, our customers not knowing until the following month that they have a leak or an issue. We get a lot of calls about, I can't believe my bill is this high, what happened? And so this giving the customers, empowering the customers to be able to see that data, providing the city with the ability to see that data and not be constantly sending staff to go read and reread and check those meters.
It'd be get a control on water loss.
Very good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Suzanne?
Thank you. You've all hit on some of the questions I was going to ask. They're all kind of close, but first of all, I think we need to go digital. It's time. We got to get in the 21st century. But there are some people who aren't going to be digital, and it's going to take a little more to bring those in. Is there an alternative for those people who aren't going to have the phones or the PCs, as Carol asked? What about those people? How do we bring them in? How do we keep them connected?
That's a great question. We certainly will continue to send our monthly bills. That's not going to change. The way we bill our customers will stay the same. It's just them having access to that data. I will say that similar to them having access to that data, our treasury will have access to that data. So when a customer calls, they can pull up that information and see. I don't know. We'll do our best to engage as much as we can in providing it through the computer and helping people walk through that process, as well as the phone opportunities.
Sure, I have more. And I'm sure they'll transition over time, and that's a hope. The other question I have, and you mentioned the ERP being ready. So I know it doesn't have to be ready tomorrow because we're not going to transition there. When do you expect us to fully transition? Because that even gives us more time for the ERP. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the billing portion of the ERP transition is complete. That's why we're ready to move on with the meter. with the AMI implementation. So the billing, the treasury portion of the ERP is ready to go.
Okay, one more question. And this one's kind of curiosity. So we are moving from having personnel go there, manually check all these and give us rates to a digital system. Do you have any idea what the cost savings is going to be, or is it going to be, how does it compare?
Currently, we have a third-party contract with Olameter to read the meters. That's an annual contract of about $450,000 a year. Is what they're charging to go and manually read those meters.
So under this new system, we would be spending $155,000?
That is the network and the software services. There's still, we can't get away from the personnel aspect of maybe seeing, not communicating with a specific meter, and we're going to have a truck roll to go check on that, but we won't have the monthly third-party contract anymore with.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Carol, you have one more question?
I have a follow-up, sorry. So with all the capabilities of this, if someone's not, checking it on their phone or on the portal in the future, and some people, honestly, their bills or water bills are paid automatically and they don't look at them and stuff. But would this, if there was ever a major leak and for some reason the homeowner isn't aware of that and there's a huge spike in their water usage, would the city reach out to the homeowner, have that capability? Or is it strictly on the homeowner to read their bills and check the portal and stuff?
Sure, yeah. Through the software, we have the ability where we could set thresholds and we could set up kind of alerts for us that would indicate that they potentially have a leak. The water, the portal has the ability to send a direct mailer to the resident if they see something that doesn't look quite right and think that there's a leak going on. So rather than assuming that someone might look, we have the ability to send that direct mailer or to send an email. The customers also will have the ability to set up thresholds if they go in and they want to be emailed anytime they reach a certain volume for the month, or if there's that they could be notified of that. So there are a couple options that could be set up for the customers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Katie, I have just a couple quick ones, please. We will own the MTUs, and there's a warranty. Okay. So let's say we become dissatisfied with the ongoing annual service. Is there another company that could take the place of the annual renewal instead of Aclara? And are the MTUs proprietary, or can we get another data monitoring company?
So the network and the software, the ongoing annual maintenance, was a decision made by the city. We could have our IT staff, we could hire additional IT staff to come in and to maintain these data collection units and to troubleshoot the network and to troubleshoot the software. But it was a decision point that staff made to outsource that with Aclara and not to have to hire additional staff that would have to be specialized in this AMI system.
Okay, but we could, 10 years is a long time. We could change the way we do the monitoring. Okay. All right, we need a motion. Okay, that's from Suzanne Watley. Second? Second by Nishad Kermali. Please vote at this time. Thank you very much, by the way.
Thank you.
And it is unanimous. Thanks again. Item number 5A. First and final consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land Ordinance number 2287. Ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Sugar Land, Texas combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2023. Jennifer Brown, Director of Finance.
Thank you. All right, so we are here this evening. We were in the bond market this morning for our certificates of obligation for our airport projects. We have already issued or sold our GO bonds and our utility revenue bonds for this year. This was our last piece If you'll recall, we had to go and republish the notice because of failure from the newspaper to publish the second notice. So we had to start the process all over again. It appears that was to our benefit because the bond market had the rates have dropped a little bit. I do have, before I get started, I do have books for you all. I can either have Joe pass them out or we can just leave them for you in your desks. The ratings are the same from what we had in November. So really it's just the results of the sale, and I'm going to show that to you on the PowerPoint. So we have 3 projects that will be funded from this issue, $6.75 million to construction. I do want to point out that the debt for this issue will be repaid 100% from airport revenues, and there are no property taxes that go towards repayment of these bonds. However, because they do have a pledge of property taxes, they do carry our AAA bond rating, and they get the benefits of that AAA bond rating, and that allows us to capture the lowest rates available in the market. So we went to the Finance Audit Committee on November 9th, and on November 15th, you all approved the notice of intent to publish the notice in the paper on November 15th. So we published that toward the end of November, and we did do a negotiated sale this morning. Our underwriters were BOK Financial Securities and Huntington Capital Markets, and these bonds will deliver on February 15th. The final sale results this morning, we had par amount of $6,235,000, and we generated a reoffering premium just under $625,000. That is going to generate the $6.75 million to construction, plus cover the cost of issuance. Our true issuance cost is 3.418%. That is actually a little bit more than 50 basis points lower than we got on our GO bonds in November. So kudos to the airport. They got better rates than we got on our earlier sale, but who knew? You know, the Fed has raised rates twice since then. I'm very surprised that it came in. I'm pleased that it came in that way. So this issue is structured with level principal payments ranging between $310,000 and $315,000 a year for 20 years. We will make our first principal payment in February of 2024, and it carries 4% and 5% coupons with an average of just over 4.5%. So with that, staff recommends approval of ordinance number 2287, authorize the issuance of certificates of obligation series 2023. And I have Joe Morrow here from Hilltop, and Clay Holland is here representing our bond counsel, Andrews Kurth. If you have any questions.
Questions, anyone?
Motion to approve?
Well, I have a question. Could you please go back a couple and explain reoffering?
Yes. So reoffering premium. So right now, investors are demanding higher coupons than the current market rates will bear. And so what we do is you sell, basically they buy those bonds at a higher than par amount. So say they buy it at 102 or 103% of the value. We then in turn pay a higher coupon. In the end, it all works out, and it factors in down to the true interest cost of 3.418%.
Okay, thanks. So we have a motion from Carol. Second from William. Nothing else? Please vote at this time. And it passes unanimously. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it. City Council, City Manager reports. Item 6A, City Council Member reports. You want to start at the end, William, and we'll just go down this way?
No report.
Jennifer?
No report, Mayor Pro Tem.
Carol?
Okay. Well, most of council, I guess all of council, attended the Sugarland Leaders, and that was our very first session of our reformulated Sugarland 101 program, and it was really, really great. And then we also attended the MIAC's Meet Your Council Member Night, and it was a really, really great group of youth, and they asked some really great questions.
Carol, I'll remind you, in my act, 16 of the kids are from my district, District 2 of the 32 young men and women. But last Friday, I attended an appreciation lunch for the outgoing Consul General of Pakistan. Along with me was State Representatives J.C. Jatan, State Representative Suleiman Lalani, and Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher were also there, and it was held at the Ismaili Jamaat Khana. Suzanne, myself, and the mayor, we attended the TML legislative session number 1. It was with Rick as well, and this just set it up for what are our state representatives going to do or not do in Austin during this first legislative session. That's it.
Okie dokie. On the 6th, Councilmember Kamali and Councilmember McCutcheon and I did a proclamation for the Unity Tree. We made that name up. It's called the Unity Tree over in the Char House, where somebody put a tree with no ornaments on it over there, and the whole community came together and put ornaments on the tree and made it a great, just a great community effort, and it was just really cool to do that. So thank you guys for coming. That was fun. And on the 7th, we had 13 new hires from the fire department. Anybody here that was hired? They're all working. So we had a badge pinning at admin, and now we have, I think, a full department of firefighters. So congratulations. That's it.
Okay, and I attended 3 of the things, and I completely forgot that I had attended those 3. So there you go. Item number 6B, City Manager Report.
No report.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this point in time, we're going to go into recess. Item 7, closed executive session. 7A, closed executive session is authorized by Chapter 551 Texas Government Code in accordance with Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property for the purpose of deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. And 7B, closed executive session is authorized by Chapter 551 Texas Government Code in accordance with Section 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations for the purpose of deliberation regarding the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect the city seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the city, and both of these are going to be handled by Jim Calloway. So we are in recess, and we will meet everybody in the recess room. Thank you.